Yeah. This happened. Oh, fuck. Whew, she's tiring. At least it's a gloomy, rainy day outside. That's a positive. Bruh, when I'm editing this vlog, I'm gonna hear myself panting. Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. Hi. Hi. As you can probably guess by now, I have a sprained ankle. It is my first sprained ankle. It is my first sprained ankle that I've ever had in my life. I'm a little bit like inclined to document it. Definitely not happy about it. I've been in so much pain, but I feel like I always want to document my first for everything. So that's just kind of what this vlog is gonna be. I know it's a little bit ridiculous. I obviously don't have any plans because I am on orders from my doctor to be home and rest. I literally shouldn't even be walking around my apartment, but I want a matcha. So we're gonna make a matcha together. I am sitting though. I am sitting. So, you know, that's good. Oh, I'm pushing this back. So, sorry, my tripod is wiggling. It's not a tripod, I'm lying, it's a fucking water bottle. The water bottle is wiggling. Can you see me? Okay, great. Sometimes my bun cuts off my head and so we're gonna make matcha together while I tell you what happened to my foot. I'm using just like a regular mason jar. I personally care what kind of mason jar gets used because maybe it's like a mental thing, I don't know. There's like vibes for the big ones and like vibes for the little ones. Today is a little jar vibe, okay? So, this is the only matcha that I will use. I've tried to use like superfood ones with like a coconut blend or like stuff like that. This is the only one that I like. And I can only find it on Amazon, which is unfortunate, but I only have to order it like twice a year, so it's not that bad. It's called Touch Organic. It can be a little bit difficult to find, so I'll put a link in the description if I can find it, because sometimes it's in stock and sometimes it's not. Anyways, let's get into the story, shall we? I wish that it was a more interesting story. I wish that I had like a juicier thing to tell you. Like I was talking to my doctor today and she was telling me when she broke her foot, it was while she was rollerblading and she was like trying to master like going backwards, and I was like, that's fucking cool. I was literally just doing an at-home workout and I landed on my foot wrong. So I was doing a Sydney Cummings workout. Love her, queen. She's actually pregnant right now. Love that for her. I was doing high knees as a warm-up and I had my AirPods in. I was like jamming, you know, eyes closed, because like, you know, muscle connection, mind-muscle connection is important or whatever. And you guys have seen my previous vlogs. You know that I don't know how to vibe. I don't know how to like jam to music subtly, you know? I go all in. I'm really all in with the music. I'm in there, you know? And so I'm zoning out, like doing high knees, and suddenly I just like land on my left foot, and it took me, says I'm gonna multitask. I don't know how to multitask. I'm putting in some Torani salted caramel syrup. Sometimes hold on, can you see it? There we go. I feel silly doing this. Sometimes I use vanilla, sometimes I use hazelnut. It's honestly just whatever I feel like at the time and whatever's in stock. So today we have salted caramel, whatever. I feel like it tastes good no matter what. Anyways, I feel my foot like snap to the side, outward. So like, there's my left foot, I land on it, my other foot is like still in the air. So I land on my left one and then it turns out and immediately I'm like, literally, you know, like the pain is so bad that you're like, like, you know what I'm talking about? And it hurts so badly. Obviously took out my AirPods, the TV was like blasting. She was like, another one. I was like, oh my God, shut it off. I like limped my way over to the couch and immediately called Daniel, my boyfriend, if you're not familiar with who that is. And he was like 45 minutes away, drove home, and I like sat in that spot until he got there. Like I could not move, couldn't even take off my shoe. And then I managed to like crawl over. These are details that don't matter. Anyways, it hurt immediately. It was like incredibly painful at first, and then it hurt, but on a bearable level. I just couldn't move it. As long as I stayed still, like I could handle it, I just couldn't move. Then I took a shower, and I don't know if the pain was caused by the shower or associated with the shower in any way, but after that shower, the pain level went up like times 1,000. It hurt so badly. I obviously did all the things, you know. I elevated the foot, iced the foot, intervals, you know, the whole thing, but it hurt so badly. And then I kept making it worse because I kept trying to like do things for myself. Like I literally made myself a plate of food in the kitchen. Like I was like hopping around on one foot. I looked a little ridiculous just hopping around on my one foot, but that was fine. You know, it hurt my leg that was working to like hop so much, but it was working. But then every single time that I would hop, it would sound like a throbbing pain through my foot. Oh, it was the worst. And then when I went to sleep, my foot was so sensitive to touch that like I couldn't even have the blanket on top of it because it would feel like it would just feel really heavy and it would hurt. And so I had to keep my foot uncovered the whole night. And it was so cold and it was so painful. Hold on, let me put water in this. Commercial break. Here we go again. It's much harder to film these with one foot. Okay, once I have the syrup and the matcha in there, I put water and I just like do that. I know you're supposed to use a matcha whisk, but it just feels like a purchase that is not necessary to make because I don't drink this every day. And I hate consuming when it's not absolutely necessary, especially like because the only place I've been able to find it is Amazon. So a straw works for now. Let's get some ice. Back to regularly scheduled programming. Oh my God, it's been filming for 10 minutes. Okay, now that our ice is in here, bada boom, bada bing, we're gonna take oat milk. I use the extra creamy, or I use vanilla for my matchas, but today I just have extra creamy. I'm gonna go like this. Oh yeah. Love. And then I'm gonna take some cinnamon, put it on there. More. Okay. If you haven't tried putting cinnamon in your matcha, I highly recommend it. It's so good. It adds like a different dynamic in there. Also, let the record show, I fully acknowledge this is not like real matcha. This is like some sort of concoction, but it's what I like. This makes me think of our last apartment. Anyways, carrying on with the story. So the pain got much worse overnight. I think just because it was cold and I had to stay on my back the whole time, so I was super uncomfortable and it was just not a vibe. Oh, and I left out an important part. I tried to go to an urgent care, literally called like every single urgent care I could find in Dallas, and all of them were at maximum capacity, which is like understandable because we're in the midst of a pandemic, but I was in so much pain and I was like, please. But I was like, whatever, like I can manage my pain and go in the morning. So we made an appointment for this morning. I went, my doctor was super freaking cool. I personally am somebody who views doctor visits as quite the luxury. Growing up in a low-income, single-income household, it wasn't really accessible to me to have doctor's appointments or to, you know, be able to go to the hospital if I felt sick. Like you just kind of figured it out, put some Vicks on it and call it a day, you know? And then, you know, obviously being in a place where I was kind of displaced for several years of my life before I was adopted, that just like wasn't really an option for me. So I view it as a luxury, being somebody who is a product of inaccessibility and low income. These experiences that you're able to have once you have access to healthcare make you struggle with imposter syndrome, I guess. And I think that's something I'll always struggle with. I talked about it when we were touring this apartment in that video. It's gotten a lot better, but I think you just always struggle with imposter syndrome when you've come from less than you have now, which I'm super grateful for. But like, I'm like, it's just crazy because I'm like looking at these crutches and I'm looking at my wrapped foot, and they sent me home with a prescription. I think he was a technician or nurse's assistant. I don't know what he was, but the guy who took my vitals was waiting for me outside with a wheelchair to escort me into the building and knew my name before I knew his, which I guess makes sense, but it just, all of these experiences feel like never has this been a reality to me, and it's weird. And all of that is to say that these experiences just fuel my fire even more for doing work that allows people who are impacted by structural violence to have access to things that they should have access to. You know, like, I mean, I'm 22 years old and the only experience I've ever had where I couldn't avoid going to the doctor is when I was like, I think like 9 years old, and I snapped all of these fingers when I was like riding a scooter. But that's the only time that I've ever really had to go.
Coming down and stopping by the...
Okay. Anyways, yeah, so these experiences, it just makes me even more passionate than more passionate than I already am, which I thought, I always think is impossible, and then I'm proven that it's not, but it makes me more passionate to be a cog in a machine that works against capitalism and the structures that it requires and the structures that it reinforces, as opposed to being a cog in the machine that allows it to function. It makes me sad to think that there are so many kids who will be hurt and won't tell their parents because they don't want their parents to feel badly that going to the doctor just isn't an option. And I know I'm just one person, and I know like it's not that deep. I'm sitting here drinking my matcha next to my crutches, and it's like, girl, what do you think you are? But I just feel like nothing happens on accident. This was not an accident. In the weirdest way, I know this sounds so crazy, but in the weirdest way, this feels like it's happening for me, not to me. And it feels like, even though there was a cause and effect, you know, me exercising and then me getting hurt, I feel like this is the cause and I'm waiting for the effect. And I think part of that effect is this fire that I feel. Anyways, circling back. I'm trying to have those conversations more on here because I have those conversations all the time in my real life, and it's truly what consumes me all the time. I'm always talking the ears off of the people in my life about these things. But I never really talk about them on here. And I think I touched base on that in one of my last vlogs. Like, I feel like my vlogs are accurate to my personality, but they don't capture the whole thing. And that's obviously impossible because, like, you know, it's a 10-minute video, but sometimes I feel like it's just a little bit too much of like, so we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and we're here, and this is what I got. And that's not indicative of like the thoughts that I'm having or the phenomenons that I'm experiencing in my daily life. I mean, if you're a human, you're watching this and you know that the human experience is so complex. And so I really don't know where this video is going anymore. And I hate how pretentious this all sounds because, again, I'm thinking about that imposter syndrome, and like I'm sitting in my fucking luxury apartment with my fucking oat milk, you know. Like, I get it. I get that that's pretentious, and I get that that's not relatable, and I think about that all the time. I struggle with like wanting to show my day-to-day life, but also not wanting to inflict a certain level of unrealistic standards on people, because this is not a realistic standard. Not that it's unattainable, but not everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. I obviously am privileged with being white passing. In some ways, maybe subconsciously, it sparked the fire in me when I was much younger to be the barricade between structural violence and minorities. I don't know, you know? So it's like all these things. But I think that the least you can do, imposter syndrome aside, you know, because feeling bad for yourself and questioning yourself and questioning your circumstances and whether or not you deserve something really does nothing to benefit the population. Like, it's not gonna help anybody who doesn't have a home for me to feel bad that I have a nice home. You know, that doesn't do anything for anybody. What does do something for somebody is me taking the privilege that I have that's associated with having a home and extending that to other people in whatever ways I can. How the fuck did we start talking about this? I have a sprained ankle. Anyways, I had a good experience at the doctor. All of that to say, I had a good experience at the doctor. My doctor was super cool, really validating, and it was nice to have a good experience, but I was so nervous because, again, I'm not familiar with the way that a lot of these things work. I literally had to ask them how to use my insurance. And so I guess this is also, like, more than anything, kind of a heart-to-heart with other adults, other young adults, to be like, hey, not everyone knows what they're doing and not everybody has it figured out. You know, like when you go to the doctor's office and you feel like you're the only one there who doesn't know what you're doing, you're not the only one. And to not be afraid to ask questions, to not be afraid to express yourself, and also to be understanding, especially during COVID. I mean, I can't imagine what other things that they're seeing right now, and they were able to get me in like 12 hours, which was crazy. And I'm really grateful for that. And I know that during a time like this, when they have so much fatigue, like I can't even imagine how fatigued they are when it comes to like physically, with their compassion that they can give, everything, that they were able to make me feel seen and heard. And so that's really special. That's all I have to say. Basically, a long-winded way to say that I sprained my ankle doing an at-home workout. I'm a 22-year-old who doesn't know what they're doing at the doctor's office, and somehow I think that the universe is sending me a message. Yeah.